10 years after John Deere introduced their 100 series combines, more commonly known as the new generation of combines, they decided to improve upon these machines, and in the late fall of 1978, the Titan class of combines was introduced. The list of new features was naturally quite impressive and included everything from increased threshing capacity to new engines and, of course, more comfortable cabs. It only stood to reason that Deere & Company wanted to proclaim these new models as being the best in the industry. So most of their publications contained a map of North America with the words Titan Country boldly displayed across the top. Some brochures would even include pictures of their new combines hard at work, harvesting many different crops across this continent. I was indeed fortunate to own a Model 6620 Titan, and it served me well with very few problems or breakdowns in all the years that it was in use on my farm. I purchased it new in the summer of 1983 with the 6-belt pickup table, and I used this machine for harvesting various crops such as spring wheat, durum wheat, canola, barley, and yellow mustard. In this video, I am picking up an 18-foot swath of Canadian hard red spring wheat, the type of grain that is used exclusively for many types of high-volume pan bread, as well as the main ingredient for cake and other pastry products. This grain is only seeded in the spring of any given year, with harvesting commencing usually around mid-August. At the time when this video was taken, I had already owned a straight table for several years and had used it each year on a regular basis to harvest my spring wheat crops. I had never invested in a grain dryer, nor did I ever once resort to using a desiccant to help speed up the maturity of my wheat fields. But there was the odd occasion where I would prefer turning to a swather instead to help get my crop out of the field and into the bin sooner rather than later. The operation being performed this day happened to be one of those rare situations where the swather certainly came in handy, and the straight table was parked for the time being. It should be noted that 30 years ago, probably about 99.9% of the spring wheat crops in this rural municipality were always swathed, as the general consensus in the farming population at that time was that straight cutting was considered strictly taboo. This was basically before cheap glyphosate was available, along with the prolific use of high clearance sprayers to apply said chemical. Once those two essential items became popular, the swather was left in the far corner of the shed, and straight cutting of all cereal crops became the standard approved method of harvesting in this part of Saskatchewan. I considered it a privilege a few years later when I had the opportunity to meet Les Hill, the senior project manager who worked at PAMI, the Prairie Agricultural Machinery Institute, located at Humboldt, Saskatchewan. This facility was an independent research organization and would do unbiased tests on many different makes and models of combines. Each combine, regardless of its color, was subjected to the same rigorous field tests, as well as stress tests under controlled conditions, and the evaluations that resulted helped to improve the equipment that the farmers eventually would purchase and use on their farms. He informed me that day that green-colored combines were not the biggest you could buy. In fact, there were actually a lot of other combines that had far more capacity, especially the new rotaries that were becoming very popular, and tests showed that they could harvest a lot more bushels by the end of the day than any John Deere combine. But, he said, there was one very important aspect that had to be considered. In his opinion, he stated that the John Deere combines introduced a few years previously, because of their design, their features, and their recognized dependability, were the only machines capable of harvesting any kind of crop under any condition in any region of North America. And that is what made them unique. It made for a very interesting conversation. I thank you for watching.